Beautiful fish. It's extremely clear. A little bit tangled up. Healthy brown. There you are, big boy. I got you again. What is up, BFSers? It's your boy, A-Dubs. Today, we are going to go over fall fishing and what I think is the best approach for that, which is jigging. So we have a jigging box. This box will be getting replaced soon. Let's get right into it. So I've got these kind of laid out in a manner where mid to upper column stuff is kind of right here, then jigging comes in, and then I've got more trout specific, smaller panfish style things here. They kind of are integrated here. A lot of this stuff, being BFS equipment, is downsized, and you could certainly use a lot of this for larger trout or larger panfish in the middle category, which I'm saying is bass. But let's start off with these Z-Man micro chatterbaits, which have a red thread on there for some reason, and I just poked myself with a hook. But yeah, these are really nice. I know a lot of guys don't really like the plastics, and neither do I, especially the way they're put on. So if you're not aware, they come with a backup. So there's like a little, I would say almost June bug with a hint of orange and black at the face, but it's a grub style bait. It just happens to have a fish's face on the front. So when you buy these, they come pre-rigged with a plastic, and then they give you a backup one. So these are great for vibration. Again, that fall weather, when you have that wind-blown top water, or when the rain is disrupting the surface and the fish can't really make out what's up there, these put out the vibration, draw them in, swim these in like the middle to lower water columns, and you should be good. On days where it's not quite so bad, I like to use some spinners, right? You have to have a little bit of, these are painted very brightly. These are Booyah mini Pond Magics. So these are, again, pretty lightweight. There's a lot of gear going on with spinners. You've got weight from the blade, weight from the wire, the head of the jig. There's a lot of stuff going on here, but this is relatively light. Because again, you can upsize and downsize. I know I've said this in other videos, but you can kind of play with trailer size and get it to the weight that you need it to be. Sometimes I'll use heavier jigs with downsized trailers, like chunk style craws or something like that, to keep the profile down and also cut back on weight. But one of these Booyah Pond Magics is it looks like 6.7 grams. If you put a little 2-inch swimmer on this, right, then you're still quarter ounce-ish, which is pretty good. You're like 7.5 grams, right around that quarter ounce mark, which is perfect for like medium light rods. Try these out if you haven't. This was the smallest spinner that I could find for targeting bass. Let me know in the comments too if you have whoopsies, if you have other recommendations for spinners. So, but those are the best that I've found. Stepping up just a little bit, and I have one pre-rigged. This is a Strike King brand spinner. So this one's got an extra blade, you know, a bead. You're gonna add a little bit of extra weight, although the wire is a lot smaller, so we may end up being around the same size. But with the trailer, we're at 8.8 grams. So this is just above quarter ounce, 1.3 grams above quarter ounce. Maybe putting this on a medium light would be better. Enter more power BFS range, right? In my opinion, anyhow. Anything quarter ounce, usually I reserve for medium light and quote unquote power BFS. But, you know, again, I'm using that tiny 2-inch trailer there, swim trailer, paddle tail, just to keep the weight down on everything. I'm pretty sure, well, actually, I have a loose 2-incher right here. So the trailer alone is 1.1 grams for this little Euro tackle 2-inch swimmer. So coming up next is Missile Jigs Ike's Micro. So these guys are super nice. These are like 1/16 ounce without the trailer. Just super compact. I have a Z-Man Baby Ballers trailer on there. Keep it nice and small, you know. Nice colors on here. This one, you can either swim or it's got a very slow fall if you do traditional jigging. So make sure your pauses are a little bit longer when you're hopping the bottom, or just drag it, because once you hit the bottom, you can definitely drag these. This is more of like light, ultralight jigging, I would say. You know, 1/16 ounce without a trailer. We're looking at 4.6 with that tiny trailer. So that's super tiny, compact. You know, when this I would say is even more towards like winter fishing, late fall. You get these really downsized packages, and you can still jig with the best of them. That's one that I really like. When the bites are really tough, I will either go tiny Ned rig, or I'll do these Ike's Micro jigs from Missile Jigs. Next on the list. Now this is a little bit bigger, but still jigging, still really, I like the VMC brand. There's a bunch of marabou jigs out there, but I like the streamers that they add in there, because it gives it that flash, you know, on days when there's a little bit of sun, and even when the sun has a hard time penetrating, these have a lot of reflective attributes to them. So, you know, when these are in the water, when they're wet, if you just kind of do like quick pop reel, it almost has a swim jig type thing to it, and that's my favorite way to fish them. I feel like I've gotten more fish doing that pop reel, swimming it, and it gets kind of this undulating like action. Oh, crank it, baby, crank it. Yeah. Oh, it's a bass. Oh, it's a bass. Why is he's jumping under the rocks? Holy cow. All right, that's pretty cool.
Can I throw it?
I just caught him on the trout setup. You don't need the net.
No.
It's a bass. You just grab them. You just grab them by the lip. Let him calm down a bit. He's getting twisted up in my line. And I have a 1/4 ounce for getting down there, right? If you're fishing a little bit deeper, you need it to go faster. That's more for like lakes, ponds, more bass. Bass bite these as well as trout. Here's the 1/8, so smaller than the 1/4. Still same thing. Got the streamers, got the marabou feathers. I typically fish them all the same way. And then when they get real finicky, or if you're going with panfish / trout, 1/16. Definitely, I would say the 1/8 is still, because of the size of the hook on this thing, I would say that the 1/8 is still like smallmouth, maybe some panfish oriented, but that's a good size hook on there, you know? So that's probably a little too much for a trout mouth, where the 1/16 is just a tiny bit thinner. You know, it's still got about the same circumference for the hook, but it's just ever so much smaller, where you know, you can get the trout and not like completely tear their lips, because as you may know, trout have a much more delicate, so that's the overall comparison. Trout are more delicate with the jaws, so I don't even really like using trebles on trout, and I try and keep it barbless when I can. So I might even shave down or bend back that barb on the 1/16. But marabou jigs, always a good choice. A classic. They've been around for a long time, and for good reason. So next on the list is the Strike King Bitsy Bug. So the Bitsy Bug is what I caught my PB bass on. Throwing in a clip right meow. Yep. I got one. Oh, he's a fighter too. I can feel it kicking. Oh yeah. Wow. Oh, he's tangled in the grass. That's why. Oh, I've got a bass and grass. Bass and grass. Oh, it's a big one. It's a big boy.
Oh my gosh. That's your biggest fish in your life. Is it Charlie the Brown Trout?
No, that's not Charlie the Brown Trout. That's a good 3-pounder though.
I'm gonna touch him.
Go ahead, touch it.
Touch it, Lorelai.
Okay. I don't. Yep, and not too much, guys. All right. Yeah, big one. Anyhow, back to the Bitsy Bug. What we have for weight, again with that, actually what I did, the jig is still tied on my rod, which is still in the car because I just left everything. There was so much equipment with, you know, both of my kids having fishing rods, my wife's fishing rod, and then I brought 2 for myself because I wasn't sure if I was going to need top water or jigging, you know, plugging or you know, trailer jigging and riggings needs. Anyhow, I used a on that clip that you just saw, I used a TRD craw just to keep it down. You know, I know that they're used for Neds, but really with that cutoff tail and having it shorter, it was just perfect. And obviously the fish like it. So I'm pleased with my decision to put on that TRD craw, even though I know it's not really meant for that. It's more meant for Ned applications. It worked, and it kept the overall size down, which is what I need to do with these Strike King Bitsy bugs, because with that 1.1 gram trailer, you are at 9.3 grams for this thing. There's a lot of weight in just this head. It's a very compact profile. You know, it's marginally bigger than the Ikes, but there's so much weight in the head of this jig that it's just and I've heard that Strike King labels their weights with just this, so they don't even account for the hook and the skirt. So what they're labeling on their tackle is not necessarily what you're pulling out of the package, and then adding a trailer on it, you go up pretty quick. So medium light for these, but still compact, just more weight. So these get to the bottom a little bit faster. They worked great with that Arc Invoker rod. I was very pleased with the overall utility of that rod. Just phenomenal rod, very strong. It's listed as moderate, but it has a lot of backbone, and that's probably due to the power rating of medium light. So if you're fishing these downsized jigs, you know, the lighter you go, the faster your action will be. So even though I had a medium light, moderate action rod, with these lighter jigs, it becomes fast. You know, with a trailer, with a tiny 1.1 gram trailer, we're looking at, what did I say, 9.3. So this is like borderline 3/8 for a jig, and that's about as heavy as I go on anything. All right, that's enough about the Bitsy bug. I have like 3 of those. I keep, you know, I keep a green pumpkin type deal. I keep one of these brown and orange deals, more of a natural mud color. This color is good for fall because everything takes on this muddy color. Your bright greens of spring and summer turn into brown, like not just the leaves, but the fish have chromatophores, so they will change their color to adapt to their surroundings. So keep that in mind when you're choosing color on your jigs, you know. Not only match the hatch, but match the, what do I want to say, like not ecosystem, but, you know, match the area, I guess. We'll just say it that way. Next on the jigging box is, these are really cool. I'm a fan of these. I've been a Ned nerd forever and a day. I love Ned rigging because they just catch fish. The way it hops straight up and down, it definitely, it gets the bites when nothing else will. So Neds for a long time were my confidence bait, but I just found out about these recently. These are Z-Man Neds, but they have like these just 2 little metal weed guards, more or less a weed guard. It just helps you pull through vegetation a little bit. It is skirted, but as you can see, that's a Ned. So you can do all your TRD fishing and have that Ned action that kind of lands straight down. Ned weight, you know, that we're all familiar with, and if you're not, I suggest you get on it, try it out. Teasing me always. I might be able to get some more distance if I cut back them brakes and loosen up the spool, but Here's that Ned with the TRD crowd in action. Oh, oh, oh. Yep, we got a little one, I think. Yeah, it's a little guy. I gotta fight him through the grass. Definitely not your 5-pounder, Dennis. We got one though. Yeah. That's the thing about blow-ups, you know. Whoa! Eee! Shook that right out of his mouth. You gotta simmer down there, fella. You gotta let me get you in. Okay. Try this one last time. My daughter did not want a nap for her mother, so I had to intervene. I had to lay with her for a few minutes, so now I'm sleepy, but I am gonna finish this video. So let me get caffeinated. We'll take a little potty break if you want. Pause it here if you need to. If not, we're gonna jump right back into it. So we left off with the Ned, and then I got into this. Yes. So this little guy is where I keep my terminal. I've got weights in here for free rigging. I love free rigging, more so than Texas and Carolina. I just find that having this kind of setup, and I can't remember exactly the brand on these, but I know you can pick them up at Bait Finesse Empire. They're these little teardropped weights, but they have that plastic piece on them that allows it to slide more freely up and down your leader, or line if you're doing straight fluoro. I do braid to leader, but those are really nice for free rigging, which is a fun way to catch them down on the bottom. We've got the hover stroll kind of hook, and it has your bait keepers integrated, and it's also weedless. So these are really cool. I picked these up at Dick's Sporting Goods. I want to say these are Kitech, maybe? No, something with a C. Kitech starts with a K. I know I can't remember the brand for the life of me, but if you go on Dick's website, Dick's Sporting Goods, and look for hover stroll or hover rig, something like that, you'll find these. But these are super cool. Definitely a fish catcher, and you don't need forward facing sonar to use those effectively. You just have to have a good idea of where your fish are, and if you are a solid angler, you know where these fish are hiding. And that's part of being in this time of year too. Again, with fall, is the bass start to push shallow a little bit because it's not so hot. You're getting out of the dog days of summer. You still have that heat during the day, which is when you should be going out. When you're hitting like 60 to 70 degrees in the afternoon, is prime time for fishing. They're gonna pull to that grass that's left. So weedless jigging is highly recommended. If you are in a kayak or a boat and can fish from the outside of those, that's preferred. You have more options to fish there. But if you're bank beating like I do most of the times, you can do those weedless jigs and get in there nice. So having that kind of weed guard is good for my specific application. I love those things. They work like a dream. Like I said, I've got the, these are Kitech. I remember that. These are nice little, again, 90-degree ball head jigs, good for strolling, swimming. There's a lot. These are tungsten weights, so these are a lot heavier. They're good for deeper lakes and ponds. What else do we have in here? We've got some Ned locks. It's an EWG hook with that weight on the head, and it kind of, allows you to get that kind of forward angle. These are really good for longer finesse worms. I say longer. This is still BFS, so we're talking like 3 or 4 inches versus, the 1.5 to 2 inch stuff that I normally throw on there. But yeah, those are solid. We've got some tungsten weights. These are 1/4 ounce. If I want to do some Carolina or Texas rigging, I'll use those bullet weights. We've got some worm keepers for wacky rigging. These are really nice. I've had a lot of issues with Senkos tearing out, or even just worms in general, unless they're Z-Man Elastec technology or something similar to that plastic technology where it stretches. You're gonna find yourself burning through worms. Like, my Senkos would last like 2 or 3 bites max. You know what I'm saying? So like, rather than putting on a fresh one and going through like an entire pack in 1 to 2 hours of fishing, you can get extended life with these. So these are highly recommended if you're wacky rigging. We've got some, what are these, like 1/8 ounce classic Z-Man Ned rigs hooks. Got a few of those in there. Moving down to the bottom side, we have these are tungsten heads, so they have the same profile of those 1/8, but they're a little bit heavier. Sorry, those are 1/16. These are 1/8. And then I've got the 1/32 heads down here. So in a variety of colors, and the hooks on these are super small. So these work really good with the micro finesse line from Z-Man, and they got, of course, that little, almost like a barbed keeper, which is perfect for Z-Man Elastecs. As much as I love those trailers, those Elastec trailers, they're super hard to keep on your hook. They like to slide around because they don't like to be punctured. They stretch so much that, ironically, they don't like to really stay on your hooks. So having that kind of little barbed keeper works really well. Other than that, we've got some size 1 EWGs, a little bit bigger for the larger bass. Texas rigging and jigging, I'll use these. You've got these. I don't really use these anymore. I've tried them a little bit, but I feel like they're too novelty, which is kind of why I got them. I like to buy weird stuff and try it out and see if it works. But these are weedless wacky rig hooks. So I might find a different way to use these, but I thought they were pretty cool. The filaments that they have on here are super durable. I can't remember what brand it is, but it's like a, kind of like a EWG, but with like a ball head, and it's listed as a weedless wacky rig, but I don't know if I would use it for that. I would probably, what I would do is get like use it like a pegged Texas rig, I guess. And what I would do is just get like a tiny craw and use that as an extra wide gap hook, because that's essentially what it is. You can use it as your, the intended use, the weedless wacky, but I don't know how I feel about that. It is what it is. Do what you want. Bobber stoppers. I'm not sure what brand. Dick's Sporting Goods, I think VMC. Is there something printed on this tab? No. That might be what they are. They might even be like Eagle Claw or something cheap. Just some bobber stoppers, you know, in case you're doing, again, Texas, Carolina, bobber stoppers for that pinned Texas rig, or adjusting how much you want your weight to slide. If you notice, grab some bobber stoppers. They're cheap. Doesn't matter what brand. And then the last thing, this isn't really for jigging and rigging, but it is in here because it's part of my terminal. It's those speed clips. So that's more for plugging, but it's in there. I'll talk about it. Whoa, we didn't close it. Oh no, I just made a mess. Okay, let me get my life back together here. Lucky I didn't hook myself here. Jeez. What is this, amateur hour? And really, all I lost out of that on the floor was my bullet weights. Did I even lose them? Nope. They are in my pants. And my shirt. There it is. Nope. I didn't lose it. It was hanging out in the box. Okay. Sorry about that. That's the terminal side of it. So back to the jig box. We don't have much left to cover. I picked up some of these from Rebel. So these are good for like trout or anything that feeds on insects, but trout mainly is why I picked these up. There's a tiny little 1/16th, maybe even a 1/32 ounce, almost football style jig head, but it fits this profile of the head of a nymph, and then you've got the nymph trailer. So from Rebel, these come pre-rigged, kind of like those Z-Man micro chatters, but different insect profile. Like I said, they actually come with two different size weights, so there is a 1/32 and a 1/16, and they give you extra trailers and an extra 1/16 head. An extra 1/32 ounce head. I need more coffee. Okay, I'm gonna skip that for now. Come back to it because those have some nice catch clips. I used a lot of those recently. They're a good bait. Stick around to the end so you see those. But moving to the back side of the box, we got some bucktail, Dr. Fish bucktail jigs. So similar to like a shad dart, some old school style, just almost like fly tied. It's got like a crappie jig, right? Head and hook, smaller for panfish, trout, and it's got the streamers and this kind of feather deal going on. But these are from Dr. Fish, and they cost like $5 or $6 for a pack of 6. So, those are on par with marabou, similar style fishing, but, more for just panfish and trout rather than applying to bass, though you can catch bass on them. And then I've got two little sections here with crappie jigs, just black and pink. I find that I don't really need any other color heads than that, and then I'll just throw a grub tail on those when I'm unsure of anything else and I want really downsized, lightweight jigging package. These are more for like streams and creeks. I don't really use these on the lakes and ponds. Typically, if I'm at a lake and a pond, I'm targeting bass. I don't target panfish too much, though I could catch a ton of bluegill on these and perch as well. I do not specifically target those fish. But, if the bites are tough and you just want to catch something, get the bait fish. Okay, next on the agenda. I am not typically a fan of Guggen Squad, but these things are awesome, and they definitely catch fish. I've caught a few bass on these, and a couple sunfish as well. So this is the Guggen Squad underspin. It's got a nice little thin blade on there. Downsized package. I believe this is 1/8 jig head. This is not tungsten, so it's a little bit larger than the other stuff that I've been showing you. But these work well because they have that kind of, almost like a barb there for your bait holder. These work well with the Z-Man Elastex, and you can put on any of the Z-Man Elastec trailers with those. That's pretty much going to take up the whole bait. And if you ever use the Micro Finesse shad fries, they have a little like slit right before the tail for the hook to come out, so that's pretty nice. It makes them really easy to set up. It's hard to mess that one up. And that come out right at the end. All right, that's good enough for me, but that's, kind of the profile we're going for. And that hook is substantial enough to catch some smallies and largies, right? It's got a nice angle to it, so it keeps them pinned. It's very, very cool to use these, and they are fish catchers for sure. Yeah, I enjoy that one bait from them. Last but not least, yes, we're finally rounding it out. These guys I bought as a novelty. Like, I wasn't even expecting to catch things on these. I was like, these are too undersized. This isn't gonna work. Insert the clips now. Yes, we did it. Thank you. Oh, you absolutely swallowed that thing, huh? Alright, alright. Whoops. Stop. For shits and giggles, we'll see if we can get his friend. Yep. There we go. That one's even bigger. And that is a proper hook right in the top of the mouth. That's what you like to see, guys. That's what we come for. Seriously, absolutely no motivation to feed. They're just chilling. And I caught a bass. That was not what I was after. That's a big one. That's a big boy. Alright, whatever. It is what it is. I caught a bass. We're after lake trout and we catch a bass. The tube works though. Boy, that's a good size fella. He probably bent this thing right out. We're gonna have to switch sides here. There we go, fam. It catches them. But you will see that These definitely catch them. These are 1/16 ounce tube jigs. I prefer the pre-rigs when it gets down this small because it's really hard to not tear out the plastic and get these tiny tubes on. I have relatively large hands, and it's sometimes hard to get these little things to work. So, but I believe this is total package 1/16 ounce. So it's actually not true 1/16 ounce, which is whatever. So I thought they were true 1/16 ounce. I said in the clips that it was true 1/16 ounce, but it is not. Because 1/16 is 1.77 grams, and it looks like these are 2.3, but they're very close to 1/16 ounce. They're definitely very light, very compact. They are kind of like a brass alloy, so these hooks aren't the most durable. They are extremely sharp out of the package, and as you could tell by the clips that I just played for you, you definitely catch fish. You can catch trout, you can catch bass, whatever, dude. You can these things are irresistible to fish. Like if you're having a hard time and not even the Ned is getting them, throw one of these. I promise you, you'll catch something. And on that note, I think that's going to do it, guys. So hopefully I've given you some insight into what I like to use in the BFS realm when it comes to jigging. Situations where you should be jigging, best methods for jigging and rigging. You know, these aren't really considered jigs, but I keep them all in the same box. So this is basically anything that requires a trailer is in this box, and you could potentially say that that's a jig because it's a jig head with a hook and skirt, right? Pretty close, pretty close. But anyhow, that's going to do it, guys. Like I said, I hope you found this helpful. Maybe you found some new product to try out. Maybe you found new methods that you haven't tried before. You know, maybe you found new combinations of bait and trailer that you haven't tried before. Whatever it is, I hope I've been helpful to you, and I hope that your fall fishing, specifically fall jigging, is successful, and I think that's going to do it. So until the next one, toss the tiny stuff, catch the big stuff. A-Dubs out.